What do you say about a guitar that changed the face of the way people play a Les Paul? This guitar represents such a crazy point in shred history because Neal Schon, one of the greatest axemen in history, decided to put a Floyd Rose on his Gibson Les Paul. This is Neal Schon's prototype Gibson Les Paul. Look at this thing. Just look at it. Just put this in your face and look at it. With these split parallelograms, you got the Floyd nut, and then you have the Les Paul monogram on just a black headstock, but nothing on the truss rod cover. That is cool. You got Grover tuners, standard fare. But look at this back. Neal Schon has come out with a bunch of custom models from Gibson and from Paul Reed Smith, and they all kind of have this back, but this is the one. This is right from the beginning of it. And I said that he put the Floyd Rose on the Les Paul, but there's an argument that Brad Gillis from Night Ranger and from Ozzy Osbourne, or stepped in for Ozzy, was whamming his way on a Les Paul in the early 80s. This guitar saw a lot of shows. Neal Schon took it on tour with him for most of the early 90s. Steve, I think, Augeri became the singer. So this was good for about a decade on stage, and you can see the butterscotch color. This is actually the way he wanted it, was a butterscotch, which is interesting because it has this ivory binding, or it almost looks pink in this light. It was master built by Edwin Wilson and wired up and finished by Gary Brar in 1992. It has an original sustainer system built into it with a 4-wire Gibson burst bucker and a DiMarzio rail bucker. It says it has a wah pot inside. This one has 3 positions and then one's for the sustainer. We're gonna have to plug this thing in and figure out what the heck is going on here. Another thing that's really cool is that it's totally routed for this Floyd. So this came from the factory this way, and it's just a beautiful guitar. And you have crazy backplates from sure all the things inside. Neal has been such an incredible guitarist since day one. I mean, for those that don't know, he played Santana. While Carlos was watching his guitar turn into a snake as he was tripping face on acid, you had Neal Schon holding down the fort for Santana for some Oye Como Va. Neal has been a prodigy since day one, and if you go back and you listen to the early Journey records, before they even had a singer, my buddy Gary Holt from Exodus and Slayer really turned me on to this because he used to always tell people how awesome Journey was as like shred music, because they were a prog band, like back in the day, before they had Jonathan Cain in the band, guy who's in now because they're fighting and all the drama. That dude, when he was originally in Journey, they were like a crazy shred band, like Emerson, Lake and Palmer meets Dream Theater. Because Neal was insane. He was an insane player. He's always been an insane player. During this time period, he's playing a lot of super customs like this. I think he had one pretty similar to this in the Any Way You Want It video. But he's always just had this finesse and this touch. Like there's this thing. One of the most important things we talk about that really differentiates an awesome guitarist is having your own musical voice. And you can tell Neal Schon from a million miles away. His finesse level is Brian May. So Brian May from Queen, for me, he's like the astrophysicist, right? Like he knows everything. And when he plays Bohemian Rhapsody, it's just like he's dialing in the coordinates of a rocket. There's a stoicism about Brian May. I think that Neal Schon has that kind of finesse in the way that he bends and his playing. It's kind of like, you know, Steve Lukather, who doesn't really get as much credit as he deserves considering the fact he played on like Thriller by Michael Jackson and like 10 million other records. He's like the Carol Kay of guitar, but was never in Journey. Africa by Toto, great song. So many well-constructed solos. Not so many well-constructed hairstyles, but I'm not judging him on that. I'm judging him on his playing. Do I like the drama that's going on with Journey? I didn't even know they were still around. I hope that they get along. I love singing to them. I saw them at Fenway Park with Def Leppard and they kicked some serious ass, and that guy that runs around and sings like Steve Perry sounds like a lot like Steve Perry. So good for you, Journey. Just, you know, stop fighting. Start believing. And I think I'm gonna have to plug this guitar in and see all the wild things it has going on. I'm here now, rocking out through a Van Halen 5153, 15 watts, actually at like 3.5 watts. And I'm playing this Neal Schon prototype guitar. It's got Sustainiac in it, which I don't know if you guys know what it does. Turn it on. But then I know it's like a built-in EBO.
That might be the coolest thing out of all of this stuff that we've seen today that I've come across.
Yeah, so that's a Sustainiac. And I don't know. I'm not really sure what this does. It doesn't really sound a whole lot different. But the reason Cory's on this 1985 Super Custom is because I know that he played this in like the early to late 90s on tour, but this is what he was playing a lot in the 80s.
It's just a more than a feeling.
Yeah, no, but give me the chords.
Oh, yes. E, A, C sharp minor, B.
Guitar sounds really, really good. So like right from the beginning, not only do I love the way this guitar plays and feels, this is like literally the more I look at it, like, is this a pink?
It looks pink. When you were saying it earlier that it was like this ivory thing, but it really, maybe it's just the
you know what it is?
Contrast.
Maybe it's an aged ivory or whatever, and that it looks pink against the butterscotch. It's like a shale pink, and it looks ridiculously cool. You know Metallica?
I do. Is that the demo you want to do on a Neal Schon guitar?
Yeah, man. I apologize.
The Sustainer wins.
The Sustainer definitely wins, man. But that Super Custom is super sexy. I gotta say, I love it. And I mean, I guess the question comes down to, what do you guys think? What do you think of this guitar? That was cool, man.
Apologies to anyone that actually has ever heard that song ever in their entire life.
Yeah, well, that's an homage to everybody who's ever played wedding gigs. We love you. Why don't you smash that subscribe button already?